Excellent. All right. Well, welcome everybody to our student visa process introductory webinar here from a U.S. perspective. So we've got myself here, Victoria Yepes-Taylor, Assistant Manager of Operations for Admissions with the U.S. Admissions Office. We've got Gemma Hattie-George, the Head of Admissions on the UK team joining us. Good evening, Gemma.
Hi, everyone. Thank you.
And then we've also got my colleague who is based out of New York, Bobby Haas, is supporting us. He'll be supporting us in the chat. So if you have any questions, oh, he's already on top of it. Welcoming everybody. If you have any questions, if he can answer you with a quick link, he'll do that, or else we'll address some questions at the end as well. All right, so I think we're ready to get this started here. So thank you everybody. And essentially we have about a 25-30 minute presentation here, and then we'll open it up to questions. Maybe we'll have a ton, maybe we won't, and then we'll all be on our way. So one thing I do want to just note is, so when we say from a US perspective, so we mean applying from within the US or territories, things like that. So more than likely, you're probably a US passport holder, or you may be a dual passport holder, or you may have some kind of really cool, exciting other passport. But basically, this process has to do with anyone who's applying from within the US. So if you're applying from out of the US, this could still be interesting. There are certainly similarities, but that's kind of where we're gearing and focusing this. All right, super. Okay, and that's just a little image of the little a little artistic rendering of the Visa Vignette sticker that we'll talk about shortly, and we all want to get it approved, although they don't put that stamp. Okay, so I'll start very quickly with our, this is a little snippet from an infographic we recently produced that is designed to help you prepare to study in London. It's designed to make the process look simple. I know there are quite a few steps, so we've kind of zeroed in on these first four at the top for the moment. I'm going to go over them just generally, and then I'm going to ask Gemma to kind of, with the next slide, go a little more specifically on each of the topics. So step one, you got to confirm your enrollment. Let us know that you'd like to join us. There are 2 steps to that. Step one being completing your offer acceptance form. And if you are an undergrad paying in US dollars, you do also need to submit your $500 tuition deposit. Number 3 involves FAFSA. If you plan to use any FAFSA funding, if you're eligible for any FAFSA funding, be sure to fill out that application and include our code. And that'll get the information over to our financial aid office. And finally, regarding housing, this is a great time to start exploring and checking all of your options out there. So we'll scoot on a little bit here, and I will welcome Gemma.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Victoria. Thanks for joining us this evening, or this afternoon, or this morning, depending on where you are. My name is Gemma Hattie-George, and I work in the admissions office here in London. So I'm just going to talk you through some next steps for our offer holders. So hopefully you've all received your offers, and if you haven't had an update from us, or you have some queries about your offers, then please do let us know. But we wanted to just run over the process for accepting your offer. So how you accept your offer will somewhat depend on how you've applied. So if you have applied to us directly or through the Common App, then your next step, should you wish to accept the offer, and we hope you do, is to complete the offer acceptance form. There's a link on our website, and we put the link here on the slide, but we can also pop that in the chat as well if that's helpful. Now, I know probably the vast majority of you will have applied either through the Common App or directly, but we do occasionally have some of our US applicants apply to us through UCAS. So if you have applied through UCAS, then there is an additional step that you need to carry out in order to accept your offer. You would need to log on to UCAS Track, so log into a UCAS account and reply to your offers in UCAS. And you would be required to make a firm choice, which is your preferred option, and then you also have the option of adding an insurance choice, which is a backup. So please be mindful, if you've applied through UCAS, that you do need to respect the your specific UCAS decision deadline, and your deadline date for applying to your offer will depend on when you receive your replies to your applications from your universities. So please do check UCAS if you have applied through UCAS, and make sure that you don't miss your decision deadline, because if you do, then UCAS will decline all of your offers on your behalf. Now, that may not be a problem, but if that's not what you're expecting, that's a bit of a nasty surprise. So yeah, so have a look at UCAS if you've applied through UCAS. And then once you've made your decision through UCAS, you will then complete the step above, the offer acceptance form that the direct and common applicants will have completed. Okay, so then what do you do once you've accepted your offer? What are your next steps? So Victoria mentioned earlier about familiarising yourself with accommodation options. We do have a provider that we're working with for the fall, and we have information about that provider, IQ West Hampstead, on our website. So definitely take a look at the accommodation options available to you. We have an agreement with this provider, but you're not obliged to take accommodation with IQ if you don't want to, but we've negotiated a rate with them and a tenancy duration that's in line with our semester dates. So I absolutely recommend you do take a look at them in the first instance, even if it's just to give you some ideas about the type of accommodation you might want to explore. And then we have the $500 tuition confirmation deposit for our US dollar and undergraduate fee payers. So if you've accepted your offer, you've returned your contract, and you're wondering what your next step is, then submitting your confirmation deposit is that next step. And that tells us that you are really looking to come to us and you want to sort of confirm and secure up your place. How you pay that, there are a number of ways you can pay that deposit. Online is probably the easiest option. So you can log on to our payment portal using your ID number and submit your deposit through a Visa card or a credit card, a MasterCard, or card of your choice. There's a number of options there. You are able to wire the $500 if you prefer to do that. So that there are a range of options, and we can put a link in the chat to the payment method page on our website. So we do have a sort of priority deadline of the 1st of May for confirmation deposits. So if you're thinking about submitting your deposit and you're not quite sure how to do that, then please do get in contact with us, and we'll very happily guide you through the process for submitting your deposit. And then it would also be time to be thinking about, if you haven't already done so, submitting your FAFSA. I think it's really important to get your financial aid and package in place very early on, so you know exactly how much funding you can get. And it does also mean that if you then decide to move forward with your visa application, you have everything in place for your visa application too. And then please remember to send us copies of your final transcript. So I realise at the moment you're finishing up with classes, or you're going to be finishing school soon-ish. So best of luck, everyone, in the last part of your semester. But please remember that your offer is probably conditional on the successful completion of your current studies. So we do need to receive your final transcript and qualifications so that we can update your offer. So those can be sent through electronically, or we're happy to receive them by post. And I know some schools may not like sending transcripts through email, so we're happy to receive official copies via post if that's easier. And then what we'll do is also have a look and see if you're eligible for any advanced credits or transfer credits. And that's a process that we'll request through registry services. So if you're taking any APs, for example, or if you're taking some IB classes, or perhaps you're transferring from college, another college, then we will make sure that we have all the transcripts we need and all copies of all the relevant academic qualifications, and submit those to our registry services team so that they can carry out a transfer credit evaluation. And what that's going to tell you is how many credits that you can transfer to Richmond, and we'll look at the equivalencies and ultimately be able to tell you that how many classes you'll still need to do as part of our degree and how long it will take you to graduate. So I think that's our next steps for offer holders, Victoria. But
excellent.
If you guys have any questions, I think we're going to take some questions at the end, but if you have something in your mind right now, then do pop it into the chat so that you don't forget, and we can either address it as we go through. I'm sure Bobby will be able to answer most of your questions, but if we need to have a chat about it at the end, then we can do so.
Excellent. Thank you, Gemma. I gave you, I think all the steps, quite a few steps.
No
So I know a common question we get is, where is my CAS letter? And that is totally a good and valid question, to which I respond that one does not simply receive their CAS letter. There are a couple steps involved in the process, so it is not, you don't just get it. So what do we have to do? Okay, so well, first of all, just going over what is CAS. You're going to hear that phrase, you're going to see those letters. What does that mean? So CAS stands for Confirmation of Acceptance of Studies. This letter is produced by Richmond and is needed for your visa application. You cannot begin your visa application until you have this letter. It contains a specific CAS ID number that sticks with you throughout the visa application process. So what do we need to qualify for our, I got ahead of myself. There we go. What do we need to qualify for this CAS letter? First of all, you need an unconditional offer. So where do you see what the conditions on your offer are, if you have any? On your offer letter. It'll list any conditions you have, or if you applied through UCAS, it'll tell you to look at UCAS and see what your conditions are. So step one, unconditional offer. You may not have an unconditional offer just yet, and that's totally okay. For many, many students, one of the conditions is graduating high school or completing their current semester of college or whatever it may be. So that's totally fine. We understand that you have to complete that. But in the meantime, plenty of stuff to be working on. So number two, valid passport. This is a biggie, especially nowadays with different offices having been closed or delayed, or I think a lot of passport offices are still catching up to the closures they've had over the past year or two. So how valid should your passport be? We're looking for at least a minimum of 6 months of availability on your passport before it expires. Ideally, it'd be great if it's good to go for the entirety of your studies. But I would say, if you're anywhere around that 6 months, I would definitely encourage looking into getting that renewed now, so that, it's one less thing to worry about and you can dive into your visa application as soon as you meet all the other criteria. If you have any specific questions about your passport, we can certainly, certainly address them. There's also a CAS request form. This is a simple form on our offer holders page. It asks for a little bit of information. It does not automatically action the creation of your CAS letter. When you submit it, it is saved to your file and it is referred to when all of this criteria is met and we are ready to produce your CAS letter. All right, the final two, 4 and 5, 40% tuition paid to qualify for this letter. So all of the information on this list, all of the items we need, the reason they're needed is because we have to include this information on the letter. We have to include that you've submitted 40% tuition. This can be submitted a couple ways. 40% could be paid through direct payment. 40% of tuition is Richmond tuition costs, subtract any merit scholarship or alum scholarship you may have received, times 0.4, 40%, that's the 40% that you are looking for. If you are using student loans, for example, to cover 100%, then when that loan is confirmed, that counts as meeting the 40% criteria. However we get to 40%, that's what we're going for here. And then finally, the maintenance fund. So the maintenance, financial maintenance, you'll see that phrase. This is the concept that the UK government wants to know that a student can support themselves while they're in the UK. And while it is very rare for this information to be requested from US passport holders and a number of other low-risk nationals, we have to be prepared for the very rare. So the UK government has calculated that a student needs £12,006, equivalent to about $16,000 to support themselves. They're looking at the first academic year. So how could this evidence be shown? It could be shown in a liquid checking or saving account. It could be wrapped into loans. Those are the main ways that that evidence would be shown. Once again, Richmond is not going to ask for this information, and it is also very, very rare that UK Visa and Immigration will ask for this information. But we have to, better to bring it up now so that you know. And while we can all debate how much a person needs to support themselves, I do think it's great to consider that and think about, what your plans to support yourself while you are a student. And but just so happens that the UK government has put a figure on it. So £12,006. All right. All right. I have my CAS letter. Well, woohoo, well done you. As you can see, that is quite an accomplishment. You had to meet some criteria, but then people ask, am I done? You are not done yet. What do I like to say? Oh, but wait, there's more, okay? That's just the first step to get you going on your visa application here. So your next steps. All right, so once you receive your CAS letter from the UK admissions office, and this comes through via email, you can start the online visa application. You complete this application on the Home Office website, and you want to be sure that you apply before you travel to the UK and no more than 6 months prior to the start of your course, which we are certainly in that window if you're looking at fall, so no problems there. Here's a little screenshot of the website just to give you a little idea there. And that is the website gov.uk student visa/apply. You're certainly welcome to check out that page. Keep in mind, without your CAS number, you will not be able to get very far into the visa application because they will ask for that ID number. All right, so nobody likes fees, but we got to talk about them. So visa fees. So when you start that online visa application, right, very early on is when the fees are going to be due. There's two fees that we need to focus on, and they are the application fee, which is £348, and the IHS fee. This has to do with health insurance, national health insurance, which is £470 per year of expected study. So to kind of help you equate with that, I do have the conversions here. So application fee, £348, equivalent to about $556 US as of April 5th. And £470 per year of expected study, equivalent to about $615 US as of April 5th, 2022. I do put a little asterisk. We do put a little asterisk next to the expected study because I want to give you the general idea of costs, but there is the cost you have to cover a little bit prior to classes and a little bit of time at the end of classes. They give you a little time on either side as the length of your visa, so you do have to be covered with the IHS fee for that entirety of time. We've got some examples here if none of that made sense, which I totally understand. It is a different system. And I've got Gemma here to help us with some examples. Here we go. Welcome back.
Thank you, Victoria. Thank you. Thanks, Victoria. Okay, so we just thought we'd give you two examples of anticipated sort of costs associated with the visa application, just so we can get you to start thinking about it, and so there aren't any nasty surprises or shocks for you. So the first example we have is for an incoming freshman, so with no transfer credit or advanced credit. So this is probably the vast majority of our incoming class. who will be completing a full 4-year degree with us. So we calculated the costs using the immigration health surcharge calculator as well. So we've got £348, which is the visa application fee. And then for the immigration health surcharge fee is £2,115. So when we add those together, we have a total of £2,463, which is approximately $3,210.46. So this fee here is all paid in advance as part of the visa application process. So you'll have your visa application fee and you'll be paying your immigration health surcharge. And as Victoria mentioned, this is going to give you access to the NHS, the National Health Service here in the UK whilst you're a student. Now, we know that some students may prefer to have private healthcare, and that's absolutely fine. You can do that too, but I'm afraid that this immigration health surcharge has to be paid whether you decide to use the NHS when you are here as a student or not. And the period, we've used the IHS calculator, entering the start dates and the end dates for someone starting in the fall of 22 and completing 4 years later, and it's given us this fee. And as Victoria mentioned, that will include wrap-up period, what's referred to as wrap-up period. So your visa will start up to 1 month before the start of your course, and at the end of your course you'll be given a few months of wrap-up period, usually 4 months, so that just gives you a chance to submit an application for the graduate route or apply for a postgraduate course and continue your studies in the UK. So you always have that bit of extra time just to kind of get yourself sorted and make any necessary arrangements before your visa expires. So that's our first example for an undergraduate incoming freshman with no transfer credit. And on the other side, we have an example for our postgraduate students, for someone starting in the fall. So that's a 12-month course. So again, the visa application fee doesn't change. That's fixed. That's £348. The immigration health surcharge, here you'll see, okay, it's a lot less than on the other side, and that's because we're comparing a 1-year course and a 4-year program. So obviously there's going to be a change in the amount of fee due. So based on the dates for students starting in fall 2022 on one of our postgraduate degrees and completing 3 semesters later, we have an IHS fee of £705. So adding those two together, £348 for the visa application fee and £705 for the immigration health surcharge fee, we have a total of £1,053, which as of the 13th of April was approximately $1,372.89. So just 2 examples there. Victoria's added the health surcharge checker and the calculator, so you can pop onto there and plug in your dates and have a look at just to get a sense of the estimated cost. We can't give every example here, so some students may be transferring in a year's worth of credit. Someone may be coming in for 7 semesters rather than 8, 6 semesters, 5, 4, and so on and so forth. But we wanted to give you 2 examples here just to get you thinking about the application fee and the costs for the immigration health surcharge fee. And this is all paid up front. One of the questions we get from students is, okay, well, can I just pay for 1 year of immigration health surcharge now and then pay the rest later? Unfortunately, the answer is no. I must stress, these are not Richmond rules. This is Home Office policy. The requirement is to pay the associated fee for the duration of your leave, of the visa length that you're expecting to receive, and that's all paid up front. But I guess the nice thing is that it's paid, it's done, and then you don't have to think about it again, and you can use the NHS as much as you like. Yeah, you kind of get your application all done in one go. So yeah, take a look at the checker, but just please be mindful when you get to the visa application stage that you really need to enter the dates that we've put on your CAS. So we're going to put a start date for your course on your CAS and an end date. And those are the dates that you're going to need to enter when completing the immigration health surcharge payment, because we need to make sure you're paying the right amount. We don't want your visa application to be stalled or delayed because there's a discrepancy in the two figures. But hey, I don't want to get too much into the detail and scare you all away. So hopefully that overview has been helpful. But yeah, any questions, just let us know.
Super. Yeah, thanks. See how I gave Gemma all the hard stuff there, all the math. All the math.
I didn't have to add it up myself.
Yeah.
Just reading.
Right. Very nice. So yeah, those are two good examples. I agree. I just like to get the idea of like, 1,000 so or 2,000 or so, just to kind of, or 3,000, just to kind of get that figure in your mind, I think is really helpful. All right. So after that, and this is all when you're filling on the application online. So after you have paid the fees, the next step is you will book your biometrics appointment. Biometrics is a really fancy way of saying that they're going to take your fingerprint scan and they're going to take your photo. And the photo that they use is the photo that they're going to put on your visa. So, if you want to look good or whatever, like that's the picture that's going to be used. And so that's where you schedule the appointment. Now, this appointment takes place at a local immigration office. Typically, every city or so has a USCIS. It's the U.S. Immigration Office, where they do biometrics. Now, I do want to flag that these locations manage a ton of different U.S. immigration cases, things, clients, customers. They don't just do UK student visas. They're not UK student visa experts. So if you have any questions about the process at any point, please let us know, just because they this isn't their area of expertise, but they do the fingerprints and they'll take your photo. That's their part of this. Now, I do have a little asterisk here because there's a notable difference where we're kind of going to split. There's two different paths you can kind of take with your visa application. There is the traditional route, which is what we're highlighting here because we're starting early. It's end of spring, almost start of summer. So we're starting early in the visa application kind of journey here. If you were, say, a little bit later into the year, or if you just want your visa right now, or not right now, once you qualify for your CAS, then you can certainly go through a premium center. And that route, there are 10 located in the US. They're basically in the 10 kind of larger cities. Being raised in Tampa, I know we're not one of them, but just like the 10 major cities, and we can check with you and see if that's an option for you. And the way that goes is you go to those centers, you do the biometrics there, you submit everything there, and there's of course a premium cost because that's what's involved with premium services, but they can offer a quicker turnaround. The most common route is about an additional $800. It's called the silver package, and it offers about a 5 business day turnaround. So if that's something you're interested in, certainly let us know, but it's not required. And especially at this point where you have the whole summer ahead of you, I'm not suggesting it. I just want to let you know that we're kind of at a little fork in the road here. Okay, so going back to the traditional route. So in the traditional route, after you've gone to your biometrics appointment, you post your application, AKA you put it in the mail. That's why I got the little envelopes there. So this is the point where all of the applications in the US get mailed to the New York processing office. They are processed by VFS services. You'll see it online as VFS Global. I want to highlight that name so you can kind of get used to seeing that, because a lot of times applicants are familiar with UKVI. We say that a lot, but VFS Global is the company that processes the visa applications for the UKVI in the United States. So after you have your biometrics, you have 5 days to mail your application To mail your passport, yes, I said passport. To mail a return shipping label, any supporting documents that they've asked you for, it all gets mailed off. Now, I know a lot of people get nervous whenever their passports get out of their hands, and I certainly understand that. You have two options here. You can either go to a premium center if you don't like the idea of mailing and hand deliver your passport, or the other option is that you do mail it. And I will say that, not that things go wrong with mail, but ton of people do this all the time. We work with students every semester that are mailing in their passports. So I know it's kind of unnerving, but you do priority mail, you track it, it gets there, ASAP, and that is how you submit your application. Now, this is where the fork in the road. If you went to a premium center, you would hand it all in. And then, yeah, make sure that you have a blank page. And if you forget to include your passport in the package, according to their website, your application will be refused. I happen to know through scary experience, there is a way to send it in and have everybody join together, but it is a little stressful, and it's just best to have everything in the pack the first time when you send it off, so that you can avoid any kind of delays. All right, what happens now? Now we wait and wait and wait a little bit. So what we're waiting for is you're going to receive an email when your application has been received. They're going to say it's been sent to the UKVI. Your passport hasn't been mailed over to the UK or anything like that, but your application digitally has been. And so that's a good sign. It's been received, they're processing it. So this is also a good time. You want to make sure you're keeping an eye on your spam, junk email, things like that, because I've noticed not only our Richmond email addresses sometimes, but the UK VI, whatever email address they use, sometimes gets caught up in our spam and junk folders here in the States. So definitely want to keep an eye on spam and junk throughout this whole journey, or maybe forever, might be a good practice. I don't know. And then you'll get a second email that says, all good, it's coming on the way, it's in the mail back to you. So those are the two emails you want to get. I think there's an option to sign up for text messages too. They're okay, I guess, but traditionally it's just the two emails. And then if there is something wrong with your application, you might receive a third email in between, where they tell you what's wrong, what they need, and you need to send it in quickly. So that's another reason why you have to keep an eye on your spam and junk folders and things like that. Ideally, we're trying to avoid that email and just have a perfect, excellent pack sent in and have it sent back to you, and no issues along the way. But if there are, you just respond accordingly. I will note that the UK Visa and Immigration, VFS Global, they are not incredibly communicative. I think you can probably see on their Google reviews or things like that, that they are not they're not very incredibly responsive. So that's why we're doing this. That's why I want you to be as confident as you can be in what you're submitting, and in the communications that you're having, and just making sure everything's right. So if you have any questions at any point, if you're looking at your CAS letter, if you're wondering why something we put on your CAS letter is the way it is, don't then change it on your application. Everything needs to match the CAS letter. So if there's something wrong with the CAS letter, please let us know. And more likely than not, the CAS letter is accurate. Our UK Gemma and her team are, very detailed and methodical when they are producing those CAS letters. So, every digit, every letter, everything like that counts on your CAS ID number and everything like that. All right, so after we wait, Harry Potter style, this is what we are all working to achieve. You are working to get a visa vignette. So it's a vignette, aka sticker, that they put on a page of your passport. It has your photo, and it has the length of your visa. And this is what you use to gain entry into the UK. You show this at customs, they'll stamp it, and you're on your way. Now this vignette lasts for 90 days, gives you time to enter into the UK. After that, it does expire. And once you arrive in the UK, you pick up your BRP card, Biometric Resident Permit. and it's like an ID card, so you don't have to have your passport and the sticker. So I just like to mention that because a lot of times applicants get scared. They say, oh no, it looks like my vignette, it's gonna expire in 3 months, but I paid for 4 years, you know, what's going on? And it's because you're gonna pick up that permanent card. Got a little asterisk here. If you are an EU passport holder, you can certainly still apply from the US. A number of the steps are still similar, but you do not go with the sticker. You get a digital access pass kind of information thing. So that is one difference there. Best part, this is what we worked for to arrive in London. And I don't know who this young lady is, but she is very excited to be in London. I can tell you that. And she's just trying to make a phone call. So going over the dates a little bit, just so you know, orientation is August 30th through September 2nd for undergraduates, with the first day of classes being September 5th. Graduate students, you are starting a little bit later. Orientation is briefer, September 16th. First day of classes, September 19th. Our orientation, I believe it's going to have a hybrid format. You know, the past few semesters, there have been some variations, but I think both our registry team and student affairs team have found that we can do a lot of it online, which is great. So we'll do a lot of, you know, giving you your email address, all of that online. And then, of course, we'll have some fun in-person orientation activities as well. All right, so I think we're ready. I know Bobby's been pretty much on the chat, you know, monitoring any questions that have come up. I don't see much else. Does that mean we just did such an excellent job explaining all the information? Maybe, hopefully, I don't know. But if you do have anything, thank you, Bobby. He's so supportive. But if you do, you know, feel free to have a think for a moment. If you do have any questions, feel free to pop them into the chat. And then I'm just going to scoot one more slide. And I've got some contact info just in case. So you've got the US Admissions Office, US Admissions at Richmond, the UK team, Admissions at Richmond, Gemma, you've got Gemma email, you got my email, but ideally, you know, if you just send it to the offices and then they can, you know, they can send it on to Gemma or myself or whoever if it does need to be a specific person. But Gemma is our head of admissions. She's very busy and very important. So
I'll pay you later for that compliment. There we are. No.
So, well, no, but if it, you know, if it's a simple visa question any of us can answer, then we're certainly happy to help. I was trying to reflect and think on, you know, this is the second visa webinar that we've run, and was trying to think if there were any questions last time, but I did actually try to make a couple little changes to respond to some of those. But I do think because we do this every day, sometimes, you know, there might just be lingo or whatever that, you know, it's old news to us. But if there's something that we said that you're kind of like, wait a minute, what, or how does that happen? Or, you know, it could just be because we're kind of on autopilot with the process.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, basically for most everyone, one of the other reasons that we're doing this right now is because for most everyone, for most people, you're not ready to start the process, which I think is a good time to start researching the process. So that when you are ready, you can kind of hit the ground running, because they do sort of create, there's a little bit of just like a little bit of like a pressure cooker scenario, because you do have just a limited amount of time. But if you're ready, if you're informed, you can kind of hit the ground running once you, you know, whether it's graduate or you're working on FAFSA, or if it's passport, like that is one, please. If your passport is due to expire within the next 6 months, I would certainly look into any kind of like expedited processing possibly, or anything like that. Or if, you know, if you are over the 6 months, if you do, you know, if you would rather just go through the visa process first, but just making sure that you're keeping in mind that you are going to need to go to the embassy or take care of it, you know, here back in the US or what have you. I don't know, any final thoughts, Gemma?
No, I mean, I think I think you've covered everything. I would just say, yeah, like you said, take some time to digest this information. We'll be sharing the recording, and I think often, you know, you can things can make sense at the time, and then you think about it, oh, I forgot to ask this, or I'm not quite sure about that, or I think I understood what they meant, but maybe not. So please don't hesitate to contact us if you do have follow-up questions. That's what we're here for. And yeah, just reiterating your point, I think the aim of this is to get you guys thinking about it exactly as you said, Victoria, so that when the time comes that you are ready to start the process and you meet the criteria, you're then not trying to understand and try to understand all the jargon and figure out what everything means. You can, like you say, hit the ground running, because I think ultimately what we want is for you to have the smoothest visa application process you possibly can, and be able to receive your visa in good time so that you can, you know, book your flights. Because that's another thing, you know, we would always say to people, don't book any flights until you have your visa. And if, I mean, it's entirely your choice, we can't stop you. We'd recommend that you don't, and certainly not flights that, you know, if you do want to book flights, make sure it's a flexible ticket, something that you can change quite easily, and it's not, you're not going to incur too many additional costs. But yeah, I think what we want to have is a stress-free process for you, which means that you can enroll on time and really start your Richmond journey on the right foot. So hopefully this information has helped get you thinking about that and starting to think about the process. But like we've said all along, if you have any questions, please do let us know, because we're very happy to help.
Super. Yeah, I see one question. I know Bobby helped a little bit here, a lot of it, but as far as biometrics facilities, so for the traditional path for the USCIS offices, yeah, if you just Google USCIS and then your city, I found out that there's one in my city like 5 minutes away, which was a surprise. I wanted to knock on the door and, I don't know, ask them visa questions or something. But and then as far as the I didn't know if actually you were referring to the premium centers, then you can also do VFS Global, search premium centers and see where those are. Typically, if you're just looking for the usual USCIS, that shouldn't involve crazy heavy travel, but I certainly have worked with students that have, you know, because they wanted a faster turnaround or what have you, flown to a location to do that. One other thing to note, there are visa consultancy companies that do that can help and offer services to help more if you'd like. I'm not saying you do need them. I think we do give you kind of a pretty good idea, but some, you know, as with all services, some people like a little extra support, and they typically offer a range of services, whether it's like complete handholding throughout the whole process, or they can kind of give you more general, you know, step back a little bit. Just depends on what you are interested in. So if you are interested in that, there are two companies that I've, you know, that students have worked with that I've just, you know, held on to their contact info. Can certainly forward that on if anyone's interested. But I think you are also totally capable of doing it by yourself if you'd like. It just, you know, depends on your preference. Typically, I reach out to those kind of organizations if there's some kind of specific issue that I'm kind of stumped on, or and Gemma stumped, and we're all just stumped, and we're just looking for additional support. Well, super. I think you know, there's nothing anybody likes more than a Zoom that wraps up a little early. So I want to thank you all. We will be hosting one more. We're going to try a Saturday just to see if that you know, appeals to anybody. If you've I was gonna say, if you've attended this one, you've attended this one. And I'll be circulating a recording of this one too. And I know I circulated a recording of the last one. We'll be doing one more May 14th, Saturday, May 14th, invitation to come out a little bit later. And then, yeah, we're also thinking of doing some webinars just over the summer, some not about such serious stuff, but like fun London things. Both Bobby and I were reflecting on our fun times as Richmond grads. So We did it. Cool. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. On behalf of Gemma and Bobby and I'm Victoria, we hope you have a great rest of your morning, evening, day, and feel free to reach out if we can help with anything. Thank you very much.